I'm Olivia Smoliga.
I am Carson Foster.
When I hear that phrase, working on your mind, just like you work on your body, I think of it as a equal opportunity for success, I think, in the pool and anything, like in anything you do, just in being like a happy person also, I think, you want to make sure that you're, when I think of that phrase, I think that you can't have one without the other in success for swimming. I think as much as you may prep physically, when you are at the highest stage of whatever kind of peak you are reaching, you need to work on your mental game too.
Yeah, I think that I was told that 2 years ago when I was struggling with performance anxiety and feeling confident and just excited to swim. I went through kind of a period in my swim career where it just became, I have to do this for other people. I have to do this because I have a lot of expectations on myself. And then I had someone reach out to me and talk to me about, working on your mind is just as important as working on your body in the water. Like I was doing all the things right in the water, but I still wasn't seeing results. I was still like having troubles before the race, and so the thing I think of is just all the work that I put in since that moment, and then reaping the result or reaping the good benefits from that.
For me, being in the sport for so long, finding balance when times are stressful, I kind of rely on the exercises and practices that I've learned throughout the years. So when I'm stressed, I tend to kind of use breath work to calm me down, or journaling really helps get my words, just my feelings out.
Yeah, I have such a great support system around me that I feel like I've established over the last couple of years. Especially, I've always had a great family, and just my friends, and really understanding they love Carson for more than just swimming Carson, and that's been so great. And honestly, I think about that, and that's one of the things I think about in the ready room is I'm fully loved outside of this, even without the results, and so. That's kind of what goes through my mind when I hear that.
When I notice myself struggling, I typically like to lean on my family, my friends, my boyfriend. I really think in my life I've not wanted to speak about things when I was struggling, with even my close family and friends. I don't know, I think I just was I got it, it's all good, it's not that big of a deal if I were to be struggling. But now when I just talk with my family and friends and they just lend support, I think it's so helpful. And again, same thing with the journaling or breath work, it just helps me kind of take the edge off a bit.
Yeah, when I notice myself struggling, and it's happened at meets in the past. I go, obviously I'm getting married in August. I have a great fiance, Meredith. I've been dating her since I was 15, so we've been together a while. And she's always kind of the person who's in my corner no matter what. Always Team Carson. So, but she's not afraid to, speak truth into me when I need to hear it. She's not always gonna say you're right, but she's always gonna tell me exactly what I need to hear. And it typically points back to, faith and just the trust that we have that, we're fully loved, fully known, fully accepted by God. And that's kind of what she's preached to me over the last couple of years, and what's really helped me the last couple of seasons.
I want parents and coaches to know about mental health is that I believe through my experience that in order to get to that next level, there are certain nuances that you have to implement into your training besides just what you do in the pool, in the weight room, and at dry land. I think when it comes to actually being in a ready room, in an international ready room, there's a lot that can go into that moment. A lot of focus, a lot of poise, a lot of grace that you want to have. And I was super lucky to actually start my mental health journey with my club coach when I was just a preteen. And at the time, I never thought that it was mental health in any type of way, but my coach Steve would have us visualize. So we would kind of just lay there in the bleachers before practice, and we would visualize our races. And I think that really helped kind of calm my mind down, because dependent on who you are, of course. Like, you might not even be phased. Like, you might go in the red and you're like, this is amazing. But if, especially when you've been doing something for quite some time, you have a lot of influence. Like, oh, well, I've been here and this is what worked for me here, or I've done it this way and this is what worked for me. And again, I think it's like this centering. So what I think I would like parents and coaches to know is that that part is so important in the sport if you really want to excel at the international stage, at like the pinnacle of our sport. Like, if an Olympics is your goal, I think you got to know that, or maybe perhaps like try to implement some sort of mindfulness and awareness techniques for your swimmers, and to also support, I think, your swimmers as parents growing up, because when there's a lot of pressure, expectation, or inevitable disappointment, just know that us as swimmers, the athletes ourselves, like, we get disappointed just as much as perhaps parents do. So I think just lending support and just being there for your swimmers is really important.
Yeah, the thing that I would say that's most important for athletes, parents, and coaches to know in the sport of swimming about mental health is that, like you said before, it's equally as important to work on your mind as it is to work on your body. If you work on your mind without your body, then I don't know how much success you'll get in the water, but if you work on your body without your mind, it's still, I don't know how much success you'll get, or you'll reach a certain limit before it just becomes unenjoyable. And I think that's the thing I ran into, is like, I was still getting results in the water, but it just became unenjoyable, and I was like, do I really want to do this? Like, this is a sport that I grew up loving, and I absolutely loved going to practice, being with my friends, but it ended up being something where I just totally dreaded, because it was like, this isn't fun anymore when I have to compete for my identity, and like when my identity's at risk every single time I step up on the block. So just how important it is to work on your mind.
Olympic years always bring some sort of like intense energy. It's this way every time. 2016, 2021, this year is similar. In terms of kind of just dialing in and like, yeah, the dial-in is crazy, You recognize that Olympic trials, if you have been there before, that it's one of the most intense meets ever. So I think, again, just finding some sort of poise and grace in my process has been a huge aid for me, and not letting my mind wander too much into the what ifs or into those fears, because I know that like 9 times out of 10 they're pretty illusory, that's a word, and I just focus back into my center again.
Yes, in the Olympic years, everything's a little bit elevated, so there's definitely been more times where I've had to check in with myself and be like, all right, Carson, like you're doing this for the wrong reason. Why am I feeling anxious? And that's a big question that I've asked myself this year at those times is, okay, what's the root of this? What's causing me to feel this way? What's causing me to feel nervous? What's causing me to feel anxious? And typically it's because I'm worried about, receiving the validation and the approval from other people. And, that's when I just tell myself, okay, Carson, that's not what you're doing this for. Like, I'm not swimming so that I can be approved by other people. I'm swimming because I've been gifted with this sport, and I've grown up and had talent since I was a young kid, and that this is exactly what I was made to do and what I should be doing. And so the best thing I can do is just to be fully present, be where my feet are, and then work on what I can work on in that exact moment. So if I'm not at a meet, there's no use in worrying about the meet. If I'm at the meet and I'm in warm-ups, there's no point in worrying about the race. Just be exactly where my feet are. What can I do in this moment to prepare myself best? And that's really helped me.
Well, I think it's no surprise, through all of this mental health awareness that we've seen swimmers, athletes, celebrities, people close to us, there's a lot more depth to a person than what is on the surface, I think, is like a pretty straight up answer. How does it apply to swimming and mental health? I think if you allow yourself to get to know who you are beneath the identity of a swimmer or an athlete, I think you find a lot of beauty there. There's an opportunity for growth. There's an opportunity for self-reflection. I think that's been one of the most beautiful parts of my journey, being a, athlete in the sport, now going for my third Olympics. I've gotten to know myself so much more than who I thought I was. I feel like I continue to evolve and grow, and everyone I feel like has that opportunity to get to know themselves better. And swimming just happens to be that avenue for me. I think no matter who you are, you have the opportunity to check in with yourself. I do like daily check-ins. How am I feeling? How am I doing? How did hearing this affect me? How did this interaction with this person, what did I think about it? And it's almost like a slowing down of your day where you can learn to be a lot more intentional with what it is that you do. And I think not only does that apply to like how you live your life, but even being intentional in the pool, like with practices themselves. Like if you want to think of it practically, like as a coach, as a swimmer, is what you're doing right now in the pool, is it benefiting you? Are you intentional? Are you just like going through the motions because you're just like, nah, it's whatever. I've been there, where you're just like, yeah, I guess I'll do it. But it takes a lot of courage to take on this full responsibility of being intentional with your everyday tasks. And I think my awareness of mental health has helped me do that. And it's actually excelled my swimming to levels that I didn't even think were possible.
Yeah, I think under the surface can be applied to swimming and mental health. It's so easy, exactly like you said, under the surface, it's so easy to, give off this vibe of being like, I'm fine. And I did that a long time with saying like, I don't need help I don't need help on my mental game, I got it. And I was embarrassed that I felt like I did. So I felt like I was weak and I shouldn't need help to prepare mentally because that means I'm mentally weak. And so that was under the surface though. I was obviously very much struggling, and at times I still do struggle with that, but I think it's just, the more we talk about it and the more we make it known to these younger swimmers that it's okay to, struggle with these things and have these, mental barriers that almost everyone goes through. It's once you break through and bring all that stuff that's under the surface on the surface, it doesn't hold you back anymore. You're freed from all that.
There is support available.
We don't know what is going on under the surface for those around us.